Monkey with a Spanner. Now we're talking about arms, or the Vambrace. Now they come in component parts. So earlier years, this is 15th century, but earlier years, these different pieces are separate. So we have an upper cannon, a lower cannon, and a cutter, the elbow piece. The same applies to both. Both pretty much the same. Again, both of these are made by the same person, so very, very similar. All the principles that we had with other pieces of armour still apply to these. So, on the lower cannon, if you think about it as being like one of the greaves that we had earlier, we have the hinge on the outside edge, the buckle on the inside edge here, and really the thing that's holding this together is the springiness of that piece of steel. In order to open it up, I have to force the steel past itself. So the steel on the inside wants to sort of be on the outside. The same applies on this one. If we open it up, see, it doesn't want to fall inside. We have to actually either compress this one or open out the other one to try and get it in. I'm trying to do this wrong-handed, but so I've actually got to pull out this section and push in this section at the same time, and then it drops in nicely. There is a strap which holds it all together so that it's not going to pop open. Sometimes if you are struck on that, it will pop open, so that just prevents that from happening. There is a turned edge at the top, another one at the bottom, partly for the wearer's comfort. If we have just an open bare edge here, it's going to cut into your wrist. The same applies here, but mainly it's to stop those pointy bits getting into the sensitive parts. We can see a lovely reinforced ridge here which provides the same function as these turned edges, but now this rib will catch any weapons coming in and turn their point. You can see a small amount of articulation there, rotary articulation. Once again, that comes from sliding rivets in here. You can see the slot and the rivet head. There are several of them. So as the cannon turns on the sliding rivets there. If we skip the middle bit and go on to the upper cannon, it's open on the inside surface and quite open where the elbows are. That's because if they go all the way down to the bottom of your elbow, when you close your elbow, all you've done is created scissors, and it scissors off a great big chunk of flesh or skin on the inside of your elbow. So you can see when your elbow is closed, they're actually quite close together. When your elbow is open, they're a long way apart. This, however, is not really a fighting position to stand in. We don't stand like that generally when we're fighting. You tend to have your elbows closed, so with that, we're actually presenting the most defense we possibly can. On the inside, again, we have all the articulations for the lames that provide that cutter, which articulate very nicely. My arm doesn't bend a lot more than that. It's about the same, isn't it? Give or take. So it's not restricting my movement particularly. And the fan plate, just like on the leg armour, the cuisse, providing exactly the same protection for the same reasons. That sharp point on the inside of the elbow to catch a blade and focus it toward the point of most strength, not to guide it away into the vulnerable area. That's not a good idea. And indeed, on this, you may be able to see, it's riveted here and around here with a reinforcing plate. So it actually has double the layers of steel along here, and that plate is extra. On the left arm, we have a much larger reinforcing plate. So this, the fan plate originally, is much smaller here, and we have a much larger plate on that elbow, again because most of the attacks are going to be coming from your left. A right-handed person with a sword or with a lance in the joust, this is the side of your body that's most likely to get hit, so that side has the most protection. The same applies to both of them. We have a pin on the end here, so we can just take that pin off if we wish to. We can take off that reinforcing plate if we want to. Once we get into jousting proper, there are all sorts of very elaborate reinforcing plates, revere braces, manifers, grum guards, all sorts of things that can be added to the armour to reinforce it specifically for jousting. Now, the whole thing, again, as with the cuisse, with the leg armour, is supported by this leather on the top. So these lace holes they're called points, point holes. It will point to the jacket and support the weight of the armour on those points, not just sitting on the top of your hand with all of that weight just sitting there. That's going to be very, very unpleasant very, very quickly. Why is there a big pointy elbow? Big pointy elbow. Big pointy elbow. And big pointy elbow. Why? Why is there a big pointy elbow? Because pointy elbows hurt. Not the wearer, but the person who's attacking them. If I'm wearing just my ordinary clothes as I am now, and somebody uses this against me, that's going to really hurt. So it doesn't encumber the person who's wearing it, but could be used as a weapon, and it looks cool, so why not? Let's do it. One difference between these, this side is open on this one, whereas, let's compare the same one, but on the right arm, on both of them, we have this leather strap on the inside. On both of them, there is a piece of leather, but it's not on the other side. Why? Why have a piece of leather only on the inside upper of your right arm? It comes back to using a lance again. We have the arête de cuirasse here. The lance is sitting on the top. We hold it by couching the lance underneath your armpit. So, have I got a stick I could use? There's a stick around somewhere. I'll use this sword. So, what a great lance. So the lance is under our armpit like this, couching the lance. We hold it forward. The arête is here. So in fact, let's use it that way. So then the graper strikes the arête. The force is taken onto your body. However, the act of doing this onto the lance will very often, especially when the lance is hitting the opponent, will just sort of push the skin back a little bit. Just rub it back, and then if it was open like this, pushes back and gets caught up against that hard edge of the armour. Or in other ways, this can sometimes compress, and we get what we call armour bite, or lance bites. And it's only ever on the inside here of your right arm, very large bruises on occasion. So, in order to prevent that, we have this little piece of leather, and it's the leather that will take the bite, hopefully not the wearer on the inside. The only other part is the strap to hold it tight onto your elbow. Despite what Hollywood would like you to think, all armour should be close-fitting. Not tight, but close-fitting. So if your armour is rattling around, first of all it's distracting, but that's when it's going to hurt. If it fits properly, it's going to work very, very well. If armour doesn't work, then that can cost you your life, at the very least an injury. So it's worth your while to make sure that it does work. What you looking at, Pink?